Today I'm going to attempt to colour in this lovely cottage line art piece with nothing but these free and completely cheap colouring pencils. I should also point out how teeny tiny they are in comparison to my gargantuan hands.
Dude, my hands are huge.
G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza, and a couple of weeks ago I was having lunch with my family at a cafe and they very kindly brought out some free little pencils and a little page of colouring paper for my son to enjoy. I was intrigued and two thoughts came to mind. The first, of course, was, man, that kid is a total noob. I could do way better. The second thought, or to be honest, the only thought that actually occurred to me, was I wonder if you actually can colour in an artwork to look really cool with these pencils. First and foremost, credit where credit is due. This piece is provided to me for free by Bailey J, who has a website which is baileyj.com. Go check it out. And she has a colouring pages tab where she has a whole bunch of free images that you can download and colour in for yourself. Thank you, Bailey, for providing this awesome piece of colouring art for me. I only hope I can do it justice and that these pencils don't let me down. Wish me luck. So as soon as pencil hit paper, I knew this was going to be a challenging challenge. The lead inside the pencil was rock hard and really hard to get colour down on the paper. And the pencil was so small it was extremely uncomfortable to hold and my hand was cramping after only a few minutes. But I ran into it with an optimistic spirit, and the first thing I wanted to do was lay down a reasonably flat tone of colour that I can then add some heavier edges to in areas that needed a little more shading. To get this overall flat tone of colour was quite difficult because of the hardness of the lead and the smallness of the pencil. I went over the whole thing with a really light overall layer, and layer by layer built up until it was a little thicker. And once I had a reasonably flat green colour for the grass, I went over areas I wanted a little more darkness in, for example the bushes in the foreground and background, and any area that would be served with some ambient occlusion where objects meet each other, like the bottom of the posts and the bottom of the house. Then it was time to move on to doing the wood, and I had no brown colours, so I had to mix one out of the red, the orange, and the black. It was the closest I could get to brown, but it was pretty good considering the fact that I only had red, orange, black, blue, green, and fluoro pink. To achieve this wood look, which was replicated on the roof of the cottage, I laid down an overall light tone of red. Then I went over the red tone with a light, flat orange tone, and then going over all of the darkest areas with a thick black, or as thick as I could put down, and then gradienting and shading throughout the rest of the wood to slightly desaturate and bring to a more earthy tone, which, as it turns out, worked pretty well. The rest of the piece were more details, so the vines on the cottage and then the grey of the cottage itself, which was of course the black but drawn on very light with a little attention to the shadows of the bricks and under the roof. And I wanted the door to be a really nice rich red door, which was really hard to do because the colour struggled to come off the pencil no matter how hard I pushed. So I did a really firm colour of a flat red, and then I went over the whole door with a black pencil just to try and ground and solidify that red colour, and then I went over it with the red again to try and even it out and make it as rich as I could. Last but not least, I went over the rest of the piece with the greys for the stones, added some roses to the bushes, and then I went into the sky. And rather than just colouring it a flat blue for a nice sky, I thought I'd add some clouds for a little bit of interest by leaving those blank and just gradient the blue going down to the horizon. And then I went back to my orange pencil and made a backwards gradient from the horizon up to the blue sky, and used this also to add a highlight underneath the clouds for a bit of a nice sunset effect. This really did turn out a lot better than I expected, especially given how these things felt to use. I will admit, it wasn't particularly delightful. The lead inside these pencils is like rock hard, and then to sharpen them, this green one especially, which as you can tell is teeny tiny. Every time I sharpened this thing, I had to like grip with my bottom fist and like twist, but then your hands get sweaty because they're so small and But even though these things obviously aren't top of the line, that's the point of the challenge, and I think sometimes just using what you have available to you and challenging yourself with that, even if it seems like you won't get a great result, can really surprise you in the end. The moral of the story and this video, I guess, is that you really don't need the most expensive things in the world to have fun with and to create pretty looking art. This piece is the result of a free artwork I downloaded off Bailey's website, thank you Bailey by the way, printed on cheap office paper and coloured in with $0 pencils that I got from a cafe. And the outcome is something I really enjoy and feel like would be nice up on a kid's wall or as a gift to someone. Which I think brings us to the actual, true moral of the story. Christmas is going to be really cheap this year. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos. And while you're at it, check out my shop where I sell ebooks, brushes, photo references, video courses, and more. There's another video you might enjoy from my channel over there, and you can also check out my behind the scenes daily vlog channel, Daily Jazza. That's it for now, and until next time, I'll see you later.